Husband cheated on me with my sister, but toxic family sided with her. Years passed. They contacted me, begging for a kidney to save my sister. You think family will always have your back? After my sister ruined my marriage, I faced the impossible choice of saving her, or letting her suffer. All was fine until about 8 months ago, when my sister, Emily, 28, a female, returned to our hometown after residing in Florida since she was 18. Her long-term lover dumped her and relocated to another city, leaving her impoverished. The circumstances surrounding their breakup remain mainly unknown. When my sister returned, she revealed that he had been cheating with men. I didn't know him very well, but that seemed far-fetched. I only met the guy 3 times because my sister would only come home for Christmas, and normally stayed for 3 to 4 days. He accompanied her twice during their 5-year relationship. I met him again 3 years ago, when my husband and I paid them a visit for a day, while on vacation. He didn't strike me as the type of guy who would have a double life and leave Emily with nothing. I tried to contact him once but was blocked, so I let it go. Emily went back in with my parents, Kelly, 55, a female, and Jimmy, 56, a man. For the first month she was here, she struggled to find a job, so I suggested that Ethan assist her. He is a higher up in his firm and assumed he would have some clout. He did, and she was able to secure a post in his department. This is a job within her field. My sister and I have never been particularly close. She is the golden child, at least according to our mother, and our father has no spine when it comes to her. It's not overtly clear, it's just a million subtle details. For example, when we turned 16, we both acquired automobiles, but mine was an 8-year-old Dodge Neon, and hers was a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. Her dance rehearsals, costumes and contests have cost thousands of dollars over the years. Some of the competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, and they didn't blink an eye. Meanwhile, when I asked for $50 for a volleyball or basketball camp at our local college, they gave it to me, but you'd think I was asking them to build me my own arena. What annoyed me the most was when I was 17. I went out with my partner, lost track of time, and arrived 15 minutes after curfew. They stole my automobile for a month just for that. The following year, when my sister arrived home 2 hours late and smelling like pot, she received a nasty talking to. I wasn't really sad when she left for college and chose to stay in Florida. Despite this, she began spending more and more time at our place, which I felt was wonderful at first, because it seemed like she was trying to be more connected to me. Then I noticed that she and Ethan were becoming increasingly familiar. They would discuss seemingly anything at length. They developed their own inside jokes. If I tried to include myself, they would respond, "Just a work thing." When I asked my husband about it, he simply stated that they had a lot in common and were working on various projects together at work. The first major red flag was that, after approximately a month, she would be at our house when I returned home from work. Ethan and I have distinct work schedules. While he works 8 to 4:30, I work 10 to 7. This happened rather often. When I inquired about it, I was usually told, "We had some work stuff to do." 2 months ago, I discovered something that made me question my own sanity. Every day before I leave for work, I make the bed. I always position the open side of the pillowcase toward the edge of the bed. When I arrived home that day, Emily had passed. She ate with us and then returned to my parents' place. As we climbed into bed, I noticed that 2 of the pillows had their cases turned towards the middle. I asked my hubby if he'd been in bed today. He looked surprised but responded, "No." "Why do you ask?" I responded, "The bed's not the same as I made it this morning." He said I must have been mistaken because no one was in the bed. I searched through his phone and laptop without his knowledge and discovered nothing. However, they worked together for 8 hours every day, 5 days a week, and then hung out after work. Why do they need to text? I felt as though I was losing my mind. 2 weeks ago, my folks invited us to dinner. Everything was going good until I noticed something. Ethan was only going by when Emily casually grabbed his arm. He looked at her, and she mumbled something. They pressed their foreheads together for only a second. Ethan jolted up and continued walking. Emily then simply looked at me, smiled, and returned to her task. I am not an idiot. I understand that this is a mountain of red flags. I really don't want to believe this. I've been in love with my hubby since I was 21. I planned a weekend trip to the city. I was going to ask him about things there. I hope this wasn't what I was thinking. Update 1. You survived, but my world has been decimated. We went on a weekend adventure. It was a lovely Friday night. We drank, danced, and were personal. We had further plans the next day, and I nearly said nothing. I thought he couldn't be doing both with her and with me. I was so incorrect. We were almost ready to start our Saturday, and I questioned him directly if he was having an affair with my sister. He teared up and answered, yes, he was. My heart sank. I asked him why. He apologized, saying he didn't want this to happen. They simply clicked, and before he knew it, they were kissing. Then more. I inquired whether he had been sleeping with her in our bed before I returned home from work. He simply turned his head in shame. I left. At that moment, all I had with me was my handbag, and I drove home alone. He took an Uber and arrived many hours later with my other belongings. He attempted to apologize, but I did not acknowledge him. Through my tears, he packed a bag and went to a motel. The following day, I informed my folks. They already knew. They apologized for what happened and informed me that Emily had departed last night and might not be back for a few days. I'm certain she went to stay with Ethan. That all occurred 3 months ago. Our divorce is almost finalized. Ethan found an apartment to rent right away, and Emily joined him. I am solely contacting him for our divorce. He originally told me I could only get the house and the savings. I believe this was guilt talking. Then, after a few days, he announced that we would have to split the house. I knew it was Emily in his ear. I had previously transferred everything from the savings account to a new one, so there was no fight. Just like that, 9 years of my existence had vanished. He has no idea what he's getting into. She is a narcissist, and will eventually discard him. Emily has been quite harsh throughout this. A few days after I found out, she mentioned me in a Facebook post. It was a selfie of her and him, with him kissing her cheek from behind. The caption said, "Feeling loved." It was terrible. I logged out of my account and deleted the app from my phone. She texted me about an hour later saying, "Sorry sis, I didn't mean to tag you. No hard feelings. I hope we can still be close. You'll meet your soulmate someday too." I blocked her. I blocked her on everything I could think of. My parents have not been much better. When I told them I was no longer going to contact Emily and Ethan, they tried to be sympathetic at first. My mother looked at me and said, "I'm sorry this happened. It shouldn't have happened this way, but your sister deserves to be happy too. You'll meet someone, and then we can put this all behind us." I became enraged and informed them about what Emily had tagged me in and the text she sent me. My mother replied, "Well, you shouldn't be on that stuff anyway." My father hasn't said anything this entire time. He just sits there. I once asked him what he thought, and he simply answered, "I agree with your mother," before walking out of the room. I'm also cutting off any communication with them. The house will be sold soon, and I'll be moving to a different state. I'm not informing my family where or when. I haven't told them this is my plan. I just finished all of them. I wish them the worst. Update 2. Hello everybody. I realize it's been 4 years since I last updated everyone, but we had a huge event occur. I'll start by providing an update on myself. I am recently engaged. It took a lot of treatment to get me back out there. I began dating right soon after settling in Minnesota. I went on a decent first date, and then discovered what an annoying ass he was. I swore off guys forever after that. That's when I went to therapy to go with the trauma of my husband and sister's betrayal, as well as my parents' desertion. After a difficult year, I met Austin, a 37-year-old man. Yes, he shares the same first name as my father. LOL. But Austin is beautiful. He is a chef. He and his fraternal twin brother Jack own and operate a successful restaurant and bar. I'm incredibly excited to start my future with Austin. Enough about me. Now I'd like to tell you about my family's audacity. I had no contact for almost 9 months after I left. I didn't tell them where I moved. I only told a few of my closest friends and cousins. One day I returned home to find a wedding invitation in the mail. The occasion was Ethan and Emily's wedding. The invitation had a disgusting photo of them cuddling in a sunflower field. There was also a letter from my parents. It basically read like this: "You need to forgive and put all of this behind us. We know things didn't go the best, but we're a family, and families work through problems." They also stated Emily wanted me to be a bridesmaid, just like she was for them. What is the actual F? That letter revived all kinds of old wounds. My therapist saw a significant increase in business as a result. Today I find it amusing, but later, not so much. I did not reply at all. The only thing I did was figure out which members of my extended family informed my ex-family about my address, and cut them off as well. This takes us to the most recent drama. Last week, Ethan, of all people, visited my apartment. Austin and I do not live together yet. But that will change soon. Ethan looked nice. Too good, as if he was attempting to present his best. I asked him when he arrived. "What do you want?" He responded, "I just want to talk. I'm so sorry for what I did. Emily and I are divorcing. I figured out she was unfaithful our whole marriage. Surprise, surprise. I don't expect you to take me back, but we should talk and get some closure for both of our sakes." I gave a double blink. He'd lost his mind. I gave him a straight face and replied, "No, I give you no closure. You made your own bed. Did you really think that golden hoe of hers, that has had more visitors than the Holiday Inn, was suddenly going to put up a no vacancy sign, just because you put a ring on it? You're even dumber than I thought. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I don't care. I'm better off now, and that will always be the case. You can go to hell." Then I turned and returned to my apartment, locking the door behind me. I immediately contacted my landlord, the loveliest old lady in the world. I've grown close to her over the last 4 years, and she knows about my former marriage. Ethan was still lurking in the corridor. A few minutes later, her 2 nephews, who helped maintain the apartment grounds, arrived and informed Ethan that he was not welcome, and was on a forbidden list. If he returned, the police would be summoned for trespassing. I had hoped that was the last of it, but it wasn't. I now have a reasonably simple 9-to-5 work schedule, so I go to the restaurant practically every night Austin manages. I don't get in the way. I just hang there and take advantage of the few minutes he has available. I've made close friends with many of the staff, including many of Austin and Jack's family members, and it's truly the family setting I've always desired. I'm there the next night when Ethan walks in and sits down at my table. It was a slow Tuesday. Austin noticed and instantly walked over to check on me. He knew Ethan from the images I'd shown him. Ethan extended his hand to Austin. Austin just looked at it and asked, "Do you want me to kick him out?" I answered, "Not yet. I have a couple of questions." Ethan perked up as if he had won something. What a tool. I asked him to explain what happened between him and Emily. I'll admit it was just morbid curiosity. He informed us that she was having at least 2 affairs with married men. Old habits die hard, I suppose. It had been 2 years. "It was a tough time for me," he replied, his eyes rolling. I interrupted. "You are not that dumb though. Did you protect yourself, or did she get half of all your stuff?" With a smile, Ethan said, "I stuck it out almost another year with her so I could start stowing away savings and selling off some assets. In the end, she got a fraction of what she would have." "And what happened to her then?" I inquired. Ethan responded, "She had to move back in with your parents." Again, I was satisfied. "Yes, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. You can go now." "Austin, you heard her. Out of my restaurant." Ethan attempted to object. "No, I want to—" I interrupted him. "No forgiveness, no closure. I just wanted to know my loser sister was back living at home. Get out." Austin stood and pointed to the door. Ethan looked around and noticed that the bartender and 2 waitstaff members were glaring at him. He stood, tucked his tail and turned towards the door. Austin began, "And if you ever come back?" Ethan instantly said, Yeah, I know. Cops trespassing." After he left, practically everyone checked on me. It was both pleasant and embarrassing. My beloved future in-laws phoned me. They demanded that I stay with Austin for the next few days just to be safe. It was very sweet. I've never had a family that looked after me so well. I did not hear from Ethan again, and I pray I never will. Update 3. Hello everybody. I did not expect it to happen, but I have another update for you. First, let me introduce myself. I am a 41-year-old mother of 2 boys, ages 6 and 2. Austin and I are doing quite well. I now work as a part-time office manager for the restaurant, and Austin's cousin, Samaya, invested in the business, and we launched a second location 3 years ago. It's been a lot more work, but with the three of them remaining highly committed in both places, we're successful. Plus, it allows each of them some personal time. It wasn't ideal, but I believe I became pregnant while living with Austin, after his parents demanded it following my previous posting. They now joke that they had always wanted to be grandparents, and it was all part of the plan. Now for an update. After the previous time Ethan found me, I figured it was only a matter of time before my parents or sister showed up. It didn't happen immediately. I relaxed a little since I felt I had a strong support structure in place, and I returned to social media. I maintained no touch with much of my family, including extended family, but I had no illusions that they would be unable to locate me if they tried. I did not receive my first message until after our first child was born. It was from my mother. She offered a half-hearted apology, mentioned forgiveness, and inquired about her grandchild. I was going to block her, but I felt the inference that my child was her grandchild offensive. My response was, "You do not have any grandchildren. I am not your daughter, and thus my children have no relation to you. If you want grandchildren, then you should encourage Emily to get out there and do what she does best." At that moment, I had blocked her. She created fresh accounts and attempted to contact me for a time, but I always denied or erased any requests or communications. This takes me to the recent drama. I was getting swamped with requests, texts, and other attempts to contact them. I read part of it, and it was a sob story about missing out on their grandchildren's lives and wanting to make amends. I honestly didn't care. I had no intention of including them in my life again. Then the most startling thing happened. Emily began reaching out to me. She wasn't saying much except that she really wanted to talk to me. After about 3 weeks, I consented to a Zoom meeting with just me and no kids. When it first started, people kept wanting to see the children. I was determined that it would not happen. They have 3 grandparents: Austin's mother, father, and grandmother. I was getting the impression that this was about something different. Emily looked dreadful, and my parents appeared old and worn. As we started talking, they all began apologizing for everything that had happened, even Emily. She admitted she was wrong to do what she did, and wished she could have her sister back. That was a ludicrous idea. Mom immediately took over, spewing her usual nonsense about being a family and looking out for one another. When she was finished, I simply looked at them and said, "Is that all you have? I'm going to leave." Then they yelled at me to wait, and the facade crumbled. The actual cause was soon to emerge. Apparently, Emily has been dealing with health challenges for the past few years. For whatever reason, her kidneys are failing, and she requires a transplant. That is why they were so persistent in contacting me. A family member is the most likely suitable match. I put it to them. "This is why you call me? You want me to save her after what she did? My husband wasn't enough. Now she needs a body part from me too?" My mother snapped. "Stop being like this. All of that was a long time ago." She began choking up and crying as she continued. "I get it. You hate us. But she is going to die if she doesn't get a transplant soon. Is that what you want? I know you think she wronged you in the worst way, but please, just this once, can we set that aside?" I became quiet. I wanted to see if they said anything else. At some point he began to speak. "Look, we're sorry for all that happened, but we have some pretty big problems. Between her medical bills and not being able to work, your mom and I are getting older and have our own problems. We've got a lot of issues. We need you to come back to Missouri and see if you are a match, but we also could use some help. Or we might lose the house." "So, you need my kidney and my money," I told you. "Don't put it like that," he said. Emily spoke up. "Please, just come home. I need my big sister. I don't want to die. Can you just come and see if you're a match? If you're not, we will never contact you again." I told them I'd think about it, do some research, and let them know tonight. Tomorrow I finished the call and proceeded to speak with my husband. He told me he supported me completely, no matter what I did, and then asked if we should all travel together, or if he should simply come. I said no to both. I was going on my own. Sure, here's the continuation, punctuated while leaving the original material intact. I informed my old family that I would receive lab results here in Minnesota, and if I was a match, I would come there and we could discuss everything else. Then, about a week later, I received the findings, and it appeared that Emily and I were an ideal fit. I agreed to return home to St. Charles. By the time I arrived, Emily had developed some problems and needed to be brought to the hospital. This got everyone off my back about meeting for dinner, because I had no intention of doing anything social with these people. Especially because whenever they appeared to have a free minute, my parents would ask whether I had considered assisting them with their financial difficulties. They were able to stabilize Emily. I went to meet with the doctors who would perform the transplant. They began going over everything with me, and I expressed my want to have this chat with everyone. We all went into Emily's room. My folks were already present. The doctor started outlining the scenario. Emily had about 6 more months without a transplant. They went over the procedure with us all, and emphasized how perfect a match I was, how unlikely it was to find a more viable donor, and how important it was that we schedule the surgery as soon as possible. I stepped over to Emily and grasped her hand. I looked at her with deep brown eyes and replied, "Did you hear that? I'm a perfect match. Essentially, I'm the only person who can save you, and I'm not going to. You are the most vile, narcissistic piece of gutter trash I have ever known. I only came here so you would know the one person who could keep you alive is the one person you have wronged the most, and now you're paying for that with your life. You're going to die. You should make peace with that." Emily burst into tears, and my parents turned to confront me. The doctor and nurse stood there in complete disbelief. I turned to my parents and warned them, "Don't even talk to me, and don't you dare ever ask me for anything ever again. The only money I would ever spend on you would be for your funeral, under the stipulation that you be cremated and the ashes released to me, at which point I will promptly deposit your remains in the dirtiest john I can find." I left the room without looking back. I am back home, surrounded by my true family, and I couldn't be happier. Thanks for watching and being part of the drama. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a wild news story. I called off my engagement to my fiancée after she requested a break to explore her ex. I sold our house and disappeared. I called off my engagement to my fiancée after she requested a break to explore her ex. I sold our home and disappeared. Hello everyone, after what seems like an age, I, 27 male, felt it was time to talk about what has been going on with me lately. The trouble is, until recently, I thought I was marrying the love of my life, Tessa, 26 female. We'd been together for 4 years and, for the most part, I believed we were good. But now I'm sitting here, wondering why I hadn't seen this coming sooner. Tessa and I met at a birthday party, introduced by a mutual friend. She was funny, confident, and had a straightforward style that I liked. I dated before, but no one connected with me as she did. We connected instantly and moved in together after a year. Things felt natural, as if we were all on the same page regarding careers, marriage, and eventually starting a family. She was a freelance graphic designer, and I worked as a project manager for a technology company, so our schedules were somewhat comparable. Life was not flashy, but it was delightful. We had been talking about getting married for a while, but it wasn't until last year that I proposed. Nothing spectacular, just a regular dinner at home for the two of us. Tessa appears thrilled. She cried, hugged me, and consented. That night, we began to plan our future, a fall wedding with a small guest list and this gorgeous lakeside location. It appeared that everything was coming into place, or so I thought. The earliest red flags were little and visible. They were little issues that I overlooked since I didn't want to overthink. For example, Tessa's passion for wedding planning waned after a few months. She was all in at first, sending me Pinterest boards, looking through wedding gowns, and inquiring about minor matters like whether I wanted tulips or roses for the centerpiece. But then it abruptly ceased. I'd ask her stuff like, "Hey, have you chosen your bridesmaids yet?" And she'd blow them off. "Not yet, I'm still thinking about it," she repeated. The same thing happened with her outfit, cake, and music. Every decision we'd been so excited about had become something she wished to postpone. "There's still time," she'd explain. The wedding seemed like an afterthought. At the time, I told myself it was just stress. Wedding planning can be overwhelming, right? Furthermore, Tessa had a lot going on at work. I expected her to snap out of it eventually. What I didn't know was that her lack of enthusiasm was not for the wedding, but for us. The actual slap in the face occurred one night when we were out with some friends. Someone mentioned the idiotic TikTok game, which you've probably seen. It's the one where you have to answer personal inquiries with a straight face and avoid passing judgment. Everything was going well until someone asked, if you could relive one relationship, which would it be? Tessa said without hesitation. "Oh, probably Dylan." Just like that. Dylan. Her college ex. The one who cheated on her. The moment she said that, the room went awkwardly quiet. She chuckled sheepishly and tried to backtrack, saying, not that I'd want to. It's just a significant element of my past. I wanted to confront her right there, but we were among friends, so I let it go. Later, when we were alone, I asked her about it. What was it about Dylan? Why did you decide to revisit that relationship? She just shrugged it off as if it were no big deal. That was a silly game, Liam. Don't take it too seriously, she said, changing the subject. I didn't pursue it since I didn't want to start a fight over something so little, but it lingered in my mind. After that, her conduct became more impossible to ignore. She was using her phone more frequently, scrolling through her texts with a sly little smile, and making vague excuses for why she couldn't hang out or why she would cancel arrangements at the last minute. Oh, sorry, I just have a lot of work to catch up on tonight, she'd usually say. Alternatively, I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend. The excuses were not particularly suspect, but they added up, and it appeared that I had become less of a priority. Then came Friday night, which altered everything. I arrived home from work early, eager to spend the evening with Tessa, hoping we could order in and binge-watch something, a quiet night. When I walked in, the mood looked strange. She was sitting on the couch, holding her laptop, but she wasn't working. She was staring at the screen, completely inattentive. Hey, I'm home, I said softly, attempting to break the tension. You're early, she replied, as if it was a bad thing. I brushed it off and went into the kitchen to start preparing dinner, but the silence in the home was suffocating. Normally, she'd ask how my day was or tell me about hers, but tonight, nothing. Finally, I looked around and inquired. Is everything all right? She closed her laptop and looked at me. Actually, there's something I need to talk to you about. And my stomach plummeted. You know how you feel when you know something bad is about to happen but can't stop it? That was me, standing there like an idiot with a spatula in one hand. I approached and sat across from her. All right, I replied. What's going on? She paused, as if struggling to find the right words. She just came out with it. I've been thinking about us, and about Dylan. I swear, I almost laughed. Dylan? Are you serious? What about him? She bit her lip and averted my sight. I suppose I need some time to consider things through. I'd like to take a break and see whether there's still something there with him. I couldn't believe what I'd heard. Do you want to take a break and date your ex? Are you out of your mind, Tessa? We've got engaged? It's not like that, she said quickly, as if she could smooth things up. I just want to know whether I'm making the correct choice with you. And if it doesn't work out, I promise to return. That's when I realized how arrogant she was. She believed I'd sit around and wait for her to decide if I was good enough. I didn't yell or blow up. Instead, I sat there staring at her, wondering how I hadn't seen this coming. I wasn't sure how to respond at first. My fiancée recently informed me that she wants to take a break to explore things with her ex and Dylan. What can you say to that? Finally, I inquired. So, what does this break signify for you? My voice sounded more calm than I felt. She straightened up slightly, as if she were prepared for this conversation. I think we need some space to figure things out. I'll take some time to see if my feelings for Dylan are genuine, and you're allowed to think about us as well. I couldn't believe their arrogance. Wait, I answered, leaning closer. You're saying you need to date your ex, but I need to think about us? What kind of backward logic is that? Tessa sighed, as if I were being ridiculous. It's not that you did anything wrong, Liam. This is about me determining what I need. She appeared to have practiced this. The way she spoke, the way she avoided eye contact, it was as if she had already decided this was going to happen and just wanted me to accept it. You realize this sounds insane, right? I mumbled. You don't just put your fiancé on wait while you play what if with some guy who treats you like crap. Her expression stiffened, and I noticed for the first time how stubborn she could be. I am not asking for permission, Liam. I'm telling you what I need. That one landed differently. I wasn't just sad, I was angry, so I rose up and started pacing, hoping to calm myself down. So what, Tessa? You're just going to pack your bags and head over to Dylan's place. Is this your huge plan? No, she insisted. It's not like that. I'm not sure what it looks like yet, but I need clarity before moving forward. I owe it to myself to know I'm making the correct decision. Do you owe it to yourself? I asked, laughing cruelly. And what about what you owe me? Tessa, we're engaged. We're meant to be starting a life together, and now you're telling me you need to test drive your ex to make sure I'm good enough? I never said you weren't good enough, she continued, her voice rising. But if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I need to be sure. And right now, I am not. That was it. She wasn't just interested in doing new things with Dylan, she was also unsure about me, even after 4 years together and all of our goals. It struck me all at once. She hadn't realized how terrible and stupid her request was, and she thought it was appropriate for me to just sit there while she figured out whatever stupidity was going through her head. I stopped pacing and peered at her. "Do you know what?" "Sure," I replied, my tone flat. "Take a break." She blinked, astonished at how quickly I agreed. "Liam, I am not trying to hurt you. I just need space to figure things out." I nodded with a blank expression. "All right, if that's all you need." She stopped, as if she expected me to argue or fight for her, and when I didn't, she rose up, took out her laptop, and whispered, "I'll stay at my mother's for a while. This will not last forever. We'll discuss when I have some time." "Okay," I responded simply. She looked at me, unsure how to respond, and then disappeared into the bedroom, where I could hear her moving around and throwing things into a bag. I remained calm on the couch, but my thoughts were already racing. If she genuinely needs a break, that's okay. Let her have it. Several minutes later, I heard the front door close, and she was gone, possibly thinking she had abandoned me here to wait and worry. She had no idea I wasn't going to sit around and do nothing. She could have her fantasy, but I had other plans, and I'll provide an update once I've put certain things in motion. This isn't going to end the way she expects. Update 1. Thank you for your comments and recommendations on my previous post. A lot has happened this week, and I'd like to share how things are progressing. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone in this community for their tremendous support. Many of you said that I don't just sit around waiting, and you were accurate. I've been busy putting things into action. First, I contacted Noah, my best buddy since college, and he is not the type of man to sugarcoat things. After hearing the whole story, he brought over pizza, and we spent the entire night plotting. "Dude, you know she'll attempt to crawl back if things don't work out with Dylan, right?" Noah reminded him. Of course, he was accurate, and the more we talked, the clearer it became that I needed to take action. This wasn't about vengeance, it was about restoring control of my life. I began with the house. Tessa doesn't seem to remember that it's totally in my name, and she loves to behave as if it's our home, always talking about the curtains and paint colors she chose, despite the fact that I pay the mortgage. I called a realtor first thing Monday morning, and we decided to list it right away. The market in our neighborhood is now hot, and we already have several potential buyers. Tessa has no idea. She probably thinks I'm sitting here in our shared home, waiting for her to sort out her feelings. The second stage was to gently remove her from my life. Remember those live, laugh, love posters she insisted on putting up? They're gone. Did she really need those wonderful throw pillows? They're donated. Her clothing and personal belongings that she left behind? I carefully packaged them all up, but this is where I became strategic. Instead of simply dropping her belongings off at her mother's house or having her come fetch them, I hired a moving company, who took everything to her mother's house and left a brief note. "This is your stuff. Good luck with Dylan." I realize some of you may think this is petty, but I disagree. I'm not being vindictive, I'm being efficient. She needed some space to think things through. She has it, literally. The most exciting moment occurred when common friends began asking questions. Instead of playing the victim or slandering her, I simply told the truth. Tessa felt she needed to discuss things with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserved more than being someone's backup plan. You should see how people react to that. No drama, no accusations, just facts. It's incredible how quickly the story changes when you don't try to control it. I've also been making moves at work. I applied for a position at our West Coast office that I'd been thinking about for a long time. If the house sells, which seems likely, and I get this job, I'll be starting over on the other side of the nation. Tessa has attempted to contact me numerous times this week, first with humorous texts like, "Hope you're doing okay," and progressing to increasingly anxious messages once she realized I was actually making changes rather than merely waiting around. She was in a panic yesterday when her mother told her the boxes had arrived. "What are you doing? Why are you acting as if this is over?" I kept my response simple. "Because it's over, Tessa. You made your decision, and now I'll make mine." She started crying, stating that she only needed time to think things through, that I was being too hasty, and that this was not what she meant when she asked for a break. "What were you expecting?" I questioned her. "That I'd wait here like a faithful puppy while you test drove your ex? That is not how this works." "But what if I realize you are the one I want?" She was crying. "Then you'll have learned a valuable lesson about not taking people for granted," I explained before hanging up the phone. The strange thing is that I'm no longer upset. Instead, I feel freed. Every box I pack, every move I make feels like I'm reclaiming aspects of myself that I hadn't realized I'd given up. Noah came by again yesterday to help me pack the house, and he saw the shift in me. "You seem different," he said. "More focused?" He's right, I'm different. When Tessa initially expressed her willingness to pursue things with Dylan, I felt like my world was collapsing. Now I see it wasn't my world collapsing, but rather the false reality I'd been living in finally disintegrating. I have more ideas in the works, but I'll save them for the next post. For the time being, I'll just say this. Sometimes the best way to respond to someone treating you as an option is to remove yourself entirely from their list of alternatives. Stay tuned. This story hasn't concluded yet, and I have a feeling Tessa's break to sort things out isn't going to go as planned. Update 2. I appreciate all of the responses on my recent update. Things have escalated dramatically, and I'd like to explain how the situation has developed. Remember how I mentioned applying for the West Coast position? Well, I got it, and the timing couldn't be better. The house is under contract, with the closing scheduled for next month, but that's only the beginning. What's particularly interesting is how Tessa's Dylan exploration is unfolding. Through mutual connections, I discovered that their restored passion isn't quite the fairy tale she envisioned. It appears that 4 years haven't changed him much. He's still the untrustworthy guy who cheated on her in college. Tessa has sought to control the narrative on social media by spreading vague encouraging platitudes about finding yourself and following your heart. So I decided to play the same game, but with a twist. I wrote a single factual post. Update on my life. I'm excited to say that I've accepted a position in San Francisco. Sometimes when one door shuts, another opens. I'm looking forward to this new chapter. People congratulated me, inquired about the relocation, and, of course, asked about Tessa. I kept my responses simple and honest. We are no longer together. She wants to look into other choices, so I am doing the same. This sparked off a terrific chain reaction in our social circle. Remember those people who weren't sure about the situation? Watching me handle it with grace as Tessa shared cryptic relationship quotes completely transformed the environment. Sarah, 29 female, a mutual colleague in the computer business who used to refer many clients to Tessa, contacted me about Tessa's freelance design job, which is mostly reliant on referrals and networking. "I need to know what happened," Sarah said while drinking a coffee. "Tessa's telling people you're having a temporary separation to grow individually, but something feels off." I shared Tessa's note about wanting to date Dylan, and Sarah's expression said it all. She didn't believe it. By the end of the week, several potential clients had pushed back their projects with Tessa, not because I said anything bad, but because honestly, who wants to work with someone who takes commitment so lightly? Tessa sensed a difference, and her texts became more frequent and agitated. "Why are you telling others about Dylan? You are damaging my reputation. This is not fair." I simply needed time to consider. I replied to the last question. "You got what you wanted, time and space. How I spend mine is no longer your concern." The turning point came when Dylan, in his infinite wisdom, published a photo of them together in the restaurant where Tessa and I had our first date. It was clear she was attempting to recreate our history with him, which was both sad and humorous. The post didn't stay long, but the damage was done. Our acquaintances witnessed it, and the few people who still believed Tessa's finding myself story lost regard for her. Even her own sister contacted me. "I am really sorry for how she is taking this. You deserve better?" What was the most fulfilling aspect? I didn't have to be vengeful. I simply lived my life freely and honestly, whereas Tessa tried to play both sides. The truth has a way of coming out. She came to my office yesterday, and Dylan seemed to have already shown his true colors, flirting with other women, being untrustworthy, a common narrative. She was crying. "I made a tremendous mistake," she cried. "I was afraid of commitment. I assumed I needed to know if there was anything better out there, but I was mistaken. You are the best thing that ever happened to me." I merely looked at her calmly. "No, Tessa. The nicest thing that ever occurred to me was when you revealed your true colors before we married." She tried to argue, saying that we could solve it, that she would go to counseling, and that she would prove she could be trusted again, but I simply shook my head. "You don't understand, do you? This isn't about Dylan anymore. This is about you thinking you can keep me as a backup while you consider your options. That's not love, it's convenience." She left my office distraught, but I was feeling better than ever. The house closes next week, the majority of my stuff has been packed, and my new life in San Francisco begins in a month. The funny thing is that some people think I'm being overly tough. "Everyone makes mistakes," they explain, "but this was not a mistake, it was a choice. Every time she texted Dylan, she lied about where she was, and she spent every second planning to put our romance on hold. These were all options. I'll send another update after the move is over, but in the meanwhile, I'll leave you with this. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, but rather getting better, which is precisely what I'm doing. Next update. Update 3. Thank you for following my voyage. This is my final post, and I have some fascinating happenings to tell. San Francisco is everything I dreamed it would be. My new apartment has a breathtaking view of the bay, the tech environment is amazing, and my new office team is fantastic. It's nice to be around people that value progress and creativity over drama. But first, let me catch you up on how things ended back home. The closing went smoothly, and the house actually sold for more than the asking price. It was interesting to see Tessa's reaction after finding out through mutual friends, as she didn't believe I'd sold the house until she drove by and saw the new owners move in. Here's where things got really interesting. Remember Dylan? He reached out to me, of all people, and sent me a long note explaining how he never wanted to cause difficulties and that Tessa had approached him first, months before she sought the break. Tessa had been planning her little exploration for quite some time. She had been messaging Dylan for months, carefully laying the groundwork for her backup strategy. What's with the irony? Dylan ended their relationship because, as he put it, if she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone. Tessa's career repercussions have been enormous. Remember all the clients she'd lined up? The majority of them found other designers, not because I said anything, but because word spreads in the industry. One of her largest clients really contacted me. We heard what happened with the engagement, they explained. We're searching for someone who can commit to long-term initiatives. Do you know any reliable designers? I recommended a skilled acquaintance of mine, and she was awarded the contract. Karma, I suppose. Tessa's social media collapse was a sight to behold, beginning with somber quotes about losing your sweetheart and progressing to angry messages about toxic people who can't handle growth. Finally, she made desperate attempts to show everyone how happy she was. The last one was extremely interesting. She wrote about starting her own design firm, and 3 days later, she started sending out job applications. Her sister contacted me again last week, indicating that Tessa has been staying with their parents and that she needs time to heal after their split. She truly expected you to wait for her. When you sold the house and moved, her ideal was entirely shattered. The most encouraging moment came during a video conversation with our old buddy group, when someone mentioned seeing Tessa at a coffee shop, explaining to a potential customer why her portfolio website was down. Apparently, she forgot that I was the one who set it up and maintained it, and when her hosting membership ended, she couldn't figure out how to reinstate it, which is no longer my responsibility. My new life is coming together wonderfully. I've joined a local rock climbing club, started taking Spanish classes, and even adopted a dog from a local shelter named Zeus, who is a better friend than my ex-fiancé. Last week, I was invited to speak at a developer conference, which would not have happened if I had stayed at home. It's incredible what you can accomplish when you're not lugging dead weight. The tech community here is quite welcoming. I had one last interaction with Tessa. She sent me an email demanding some old photographs from our shared cloud storage, which I had already deleted and canceled several weeks ago. Her email said, "I understand you're attempting to eliminate me from your life, but you can't simply delete our memories." Those 4 years meant something. My response was simple. You're correct. Those years taught me what I don't want from a spouse. Thank you for the lesson. Some common acquaintances think I'm being very harsh and should be more understanding of her moment of confusion. However, it wasn't a moment, it was a deliberate decision to keep me as a safety net while she sought what she saw as a better alternative. What is the most significant thing I've learned from all of this? Sometimes the worst things that happen to you result in the best outcomes. If Tessa hadn't showed her true colors, I may have married her, only to discover her true personality years later, possibly with children in the mix. Instead, I'm in a gorgeous city with a wonderful job, making new friends, and feeling positive about the future. The sorrow of betrayal has been replaced with gratitude for avoiding a gunshot. Thank you to everyone who has followed the tale and given advice. Your support has helped me stay strong when I may have wavered. And for anyone going through a similar circumstance, know this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them right away. Don't wait for them to change their opinion about you. Life is too short to be someone's backup plan. Sometimes the best thing you can do is take a step back and improve your own situation. That's it for now, guys. This chapter of my life has officially concluded, and I can't wait for the next one to begin. Take care, and many thanks for everything.